All right, everyone. We're live. We're gonna let everyone stream
All
on in
right.
here. Welcome everyone. Kyle Ryland, what's up, gents? While we wait for
Not
everyone
much.
to hurry on in, let's give a little recap. Where are you guys at in the world right now?
I'm in
I don't
Cali.
want you, Callie.
I just moved back to California from Florida. One of the only people doing that right now.
Yeah, you did the immigration.
We'll see
That's
how long
very
I
rare.
last.
Do you actually live in California, or is it just temporary?
Well, I threw away everything that wasn't important to me and put it in 3 bags. So I guess you
Yeah.
could say I'm homeless.
Okay, gotcha. How's that treating you?
It's nice. It's freeing. I'm
Okay.
sure you feel the same way, Sumner. But
Yeah, my life
I'm
is
just at,
in.
I'm at that point in my life. I'm young, and I'm not connected anywhere, so I'm just
Yeah.
kind of floating around, which is nice. It's quite a blessing to be in this situation. I never thought I'd be here.
It's pretty awesome. It's pretty
Yeah.
awesome. Kyle looks like he's in Italy, but I think you are in Arizona
I'm
still.
I'm actually in New Mexico. I'm in Albuquerque.
Oh, okay. That explains the background.
Yeah.
Very New Mexico-esque.
Yeah. If you don't know anything about New Mexico, the Blue Doors is a big thing here.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, cool, guys. Good to see everyone. I'm in Bali. Pardon the attire. This is the most professional, unprofessional call. We call this the Land Insight CEO call. Not that any of us are really qualified to be CEOs, but we just come hang out, shoot the breeze, talk about what's in the development pipeline, things that we're releasing. We've got a lot of really cool stuff to hit on today. As you guys may or may not know, we're releasing a data platform for Land Insights that's right around the corner. And with that comes a whole slew of new features that we want to hit on. Of course, we're going to keep it fun, keep it casual. We'll have a Q&A, so feel free to put any questions in the chat. If you're watching this right now and you are by a computer, throw in the chat. Let me know where you guys are tuning in from. Give me a little shout out in the chat. If we drop some fire along the way, let us know. Like, hey, let's make it interactive. Let's make it fun. Thank you, Brian. Yeah, trying something new today. Going incognito on this call. Wanted to make sure you guys didn't recognize me. So trying on a new outfit for y'all. All right, cool. So we just did a little hello from everyone. Just 2 housekeeping things before we get kicked off. First thing is, you guys know we're right around the corner from our big mastermind in Las Vegas. I think we sold out of the VIP. Well, I know we sold out of the VIP tickets. Then we released an extra round of VIP tickets. I think those are all sold out. And I think we're about 30 to 40% sold out of the general admission stuff. So I'll put that down below for y'all. We're all going to be there, minus Kyle. Unfortunately, Kyle's going to Italy, which is a shame, but we're doing a lot of cool stuff. VIP is going to hang out with all of the guest speakers the day before. We rented a go-kart track, big steak dinner, breakout rooms. It's going to be awesome. And we've got guest speakers coming in, both that are like kind of the classic household like land names you would expect, Callan Faulkner, John Jasniak, people like that, but also some wild cards that maybe you've probably never heard speak ever. And it's a blessing to have them on stage. People like Meir Shemtov, Jerry Danglish. I don't think Jerry's ever spoken on stage, but everyone knows that guy's name. He's an OG in the land space. So trying to bring out some new faces on stage that have a wealth of information that's going to make it really, really fun. So I put that down below. It's going to be awesome. And then last but not least, our Chrome extension, Land Insights Chrome extension. I think we have over 1,000 people using it, which is kind of insane. Is that right, Kyle?
Yep.
Yeah, super cool. And this is something that Kyle just built kind of as like a pet project on the weekends. Didn't really think anything of it. And we've got hundreds of people using it every day in their land business. We've estimated it saves about 30 minutes, maybe an hour per day on comping. So all the comping websites that we use, redfinland.com, Zillow, it just streamlines that process and just allows you to, from like one bird's eye view, go quickly see the price breaker and just get all the intel you need without fishing through all these different comps. So super cool. All right, that's the housekeeping stuff. Links down below in the description for y'all. And then the second thing I need to get out there, just as a congratulations, we did what we're calling our founders list and CEO list for the data platform. Ridiculous discounts, as low as $3,500 a year for unlimited data. They literally sold out in minutes, and just want to congratulate everyone that was a part of that. You guys have anything you want to say to the founders list and the CEO list? Oh, and by the way, we've got a really, really cool gift heading out to both people on those lists, or both people in those groups.
Oh, yeah.
Anything you guys want to say to that group, though?
Yeah, just thank you for entrusting us to build something that's going to be really great for you.
Kyle, words of wisdom, man. Beautiful. Ryan, what about you?
Appreciate it, guys. You guys aren't going to be disappointed. got a ton cooking, and I'm super excited to finally be a data provider in addition to everything else we provide. Eventually, we're going to take over everything. So I'm super excited to just keep checking different projects off the list. And there's a huge backlog of projects, and we'll talk about that later on.
Yeah, we're going to hit on that here today. I keep on saying, just like in Lord of the Rings, it's one tool to rule them all. That's what we're trying to do. Everything in land is so fragmented. There's so many, I mean, like from cradle to grave, everything that we do is so discombobulated and fragmented. The fact that I have to use data tree and land vision, I have to use land ID and all these different tools is silly. And none of them were really ever built just for land investors. So we're going to hit on the stuff that's being released this year and then coming out after the beginning of the year. Okay, cool. So quick 30,000 foot view on the stuff that we're going to cover here today. We've got a ginormous bonus that we're going to go through at the end for Land Insights users. So stick around to the end. It's no one knows about this, and it's a pretty big Easter egg that we're adding in. We're going to cover all things data platform, why we're building it, how it'll change the entire land industry, all the things that you need to know. We're going to talk about the comping tool that we're releasing, something that we've been using in the background in our own land business. That's been saving our team about probably 6 hours a day on comping on acquisitions, on our texting. Honestly, this is a tool that individually for this tool, I would pay $2,500 a month for. No joke. That's what I've estimated the value at for myself. We're adding it in for free for Land Insights users. We're going to talk about that. We're talking about a road frontage scrub for subdividing. And then, like I said, the bonus at the end, which you definitely want to stick around for. And thank you everyone in the chat for giving some love, letting us know where you guys are tuning in from. We've got people all over the US, which is pretty damn cool. And yes, it is a chill vibe today. All right, guys, where do you want to start on the data platform? There's obviously a lot of different angles to this, but where do we want to start?
Let's start with why.
Cool. All right. Well, I'll give him my first pass on the why. I mean, the data game in land is so interesting. Like there's kind of three levels to it, right? You've got super entry level. So think like, what's that one called that everyone uses? PropStream.
PropStream?
Right? Dirt cheap. $99 for 10,000 records a month. That's like ridiculously cheap. Problem is the data sucks. The quality sucks. It's really outdated in most cases. And like I like to say, you can't massage the data. So I can't come in with all my weird filters and start to kind of whittle it down. So crappy. I would never recommend anyone to start down the land business. Probably great for houses, terrible for land. The next level is you've got the a la carte model. So pretty entry-level prices from a monthly subscription standpoint, but ridiculous a la carte prices. I mean, people are getting raked over the coals, 12 cents, 10 cents, 11 cents. That's crazy. And they're paying $99 or $199 a month. But still, the quality is substantially better than PropStream. So I like it. You know, that's where most of us hang out inside of LEA, especially when we're first getting started. Serves its purpose, but I've seen many land investors that are spending 10 grand a year on data just because they don't have awareness of maybe there's a better alternative out there. And the third tier is the unlimited model, which is really only one player in town that does the unlimited model. The problem is their pricing is all over the map. I mean, I know people that are paying $20,000 a year for that subscription, and folks are at $4,800 a year. There's no unified pricing. You have to buy in bulk. It's really weird. There's just no transparency there. And again, it's not built for land investors, right? So I think just like from a really simple pricing angle, all those tools don't really make sense for what we're doing. And I think it comes back to the core reason that none of them were built for land investors. Like none of them. Land is just this little side niche, and we're kind of like the forgotten cohort on their tools. And that's fine. That breeds an opportunity to create something that's just frankly better. Anything I missed there on that, guys, in terms of the why?
No, I think you hit it all.
Yeah.
Kyle. Yeah. I'm just curious from your perspective. I mean, Rylan, you're pulling millions of data points a year, probably in the neighborhood of 3 to 5 million data points a year, I would guess, right?
Yeah, it's a ridiculous amount. If I was using an a la carte model, it'd be taking up my monthly expense.
Yeah.
And there's a trade-off with when you want to go unlimited. So let's say there was a platform that was charging $5,000, but we're charging $4,500.
$4,500 is the standard evergreen price. People on the founders list are at $3,500, and then the folks on CEO at $4,000. So
since we're charging $4,500, the cutoff to where you start saving money on data, moving from a la carte to unlimited data, you have to be pulling 75,000 records a year, which is not a lot considering the amount we scrub out. So we're usually scrubbing about 40 to 50% of our data from the data that we export. Yep. So if you're extracting data that's roughly what 37,000 records a year, then you'd want to transfer over to an unlimited plan. Otherwise, you're just losing a bunch of money to data.
Well, and let me just key on for you guys. You're probably like, well, what's kind of being factored into the math? So inside of Land Insights, for the folks that aren't ready to go unlimited, which again, I would not recommend it out of the gate. There's a time and a place in the beginning, though. That additional money should go to marketing because it's going to have the highest impact in your business. Once you trip over like the 75,000 records a year mark, might make a little more sense. But that's based off of the a la carte of 6 cents. So inside of Land Insights, you're at 6 cents. To get 6 cents a record on Data Tree, I don't know. I think the plan is $3.99 a month or something like that, $2.99 a month, something along those lines. So it's like their upper echelon plan is even at 6 cents a record. That comes out of the gate for folks that are inside of Land Insights. So really the math probably looks more like for the average person, 9 or 10 cents a record, which is just egregious. On the note of scrubbing, so we're talking about scrubbing here, and there's some pretty big changes happening inside of the data platform for folks that are pulling data from Land Insights as it relates to scrubbing. But you want to touch on that, just in terms of the changes that are happening there?
Sorry, say that again.
The scrubbing changes that are happening for data users inside of Land Insights. So the folks that are either on a la carte or an unlimited data plan, it's just the kind of pricing matrix changes that are happening for pulling scrubs.
Yeah, so anybody that has access to our database with unlimited records, you're going to get free landlock scrubbing. So you'll be able to pull it through our algorithm that removes any landlocked properties for free when you export. So that's a big pro. Currently, right now, we're charging inside our Land Insights scrubbing feature because it does cost us money with our current platform, but with our new data integration, it will be saving a ton on basically all of our mapping features. So we'll be able to push that discount to you guys and make it free so that when you scrub out landlocked properties, it's going to be free. And then there's going to be a couple additional features which you'll have to pay for at a much lower price than what you're used to. So there'll be other features such as flood zone and wetland scrubbing if you want to add that. Basically, by combining all these, you'll be able to remove VAs from your process altogether. So right now, a lot of people are still going manually through their data sets. I've removed that from my process. I solely rely on our AI technology with our current features, but I highly recommend once you're extracting data with the database to just get rid of the scrubbing VA because it's just not worth your time and not worth the management. And our whole goal was to remove manual scrubbing from the process altogether.
Right, there's two things I want to double click on there, but before I do, just to give people context, and you guys may or may not know this, and this is I'm estimating here, but you are probably like in the 0.0001% of land investors in terms of the marketing and data that you guys are pulling. I can't think of a single person that's doing as much marketing as you guys are. I really don't. I don't even know if there is another person. So no. The fact that you've moved away from having no VAs in the process, I think is a testament to, it's not really needed anymore. And I think the big thrust for us to move and actually own the data was first to improve our scrubbing features. Creating the data product was actually a bit of not an afterthought, but it was like a positive downstream consequence. But our first goal is how do we make the AI scrubbing so good that you no longer need a VA in there? Anyone here on this call that has a team can attest to the fact that the more people you add to the business, the more complex things become. It just creates friction in the business. And so if someone like Rylan that's doing hundreds of thousands of data pulls a month doesn't have a VA in there, it's a testament to the fact that out of the gates, you probably shouldn't have one either. It just creates complexity and it costs you a substantial amount. Let's just talk about rough math. Rylan, if you were to have a VA overseeing and manually scrubbing that data inside of Land Insights, what would you be paying a month for how much data you guys are pulling? Rough
so you can get somebody at like $3 an hour to do this for you. And to do a data set of 2,500 records, that takes like an hour and a half to 2 hours.
Yeah.
So you have to just stack on a lot of people. We legit created an agency of manually scrubbing VAs to try to hit our numbers, and we still weren't hitting them. So there's a point at scale where it's like you can sacrifice a little bit of your accuracy to go above and beyond. And with recent changes we made to the algorithm, we've become so much more accurate. And it's at that point where I feel completely comfortable just leaving it all to AI. Kind of, I worked on a little side project where my team was manually scrubbing all the properties in the US. We went through, I think it was 20,000 data points, and like made sure every single property was correctly tagged as landlocked or wetland or flood zone. And we use that to create our algorithm. And now we're above 90% accuracy with that data set. And basically, there's a couple cool things I found with that. One being 29% on average was landlocked out of that whole data set of 20,000. And then in addition to that, with wetlands and flood zones combined, you hit about 40 to 50% on average, removing everything from your data set that's just not a desirable property. So it's crazy how much people have lost in marketing when you look at that statistic. I mean, 40 to 50% of your mailers are just shit properties altogether. So it was kind of eye-opening for me to see that.
Yeah, there's people that are landlocked. They call first out of a mailer. So I'm pretty sure this we have the call center is mad at us now, right? Because all of their revenue went down because we're only getting good properties now.
Yeah. It changes the dynamics of literally every part of our business. And I think the hidden benefit to not getting crappy leads or at least crappy properties in your business, and this is the part I don't think anyone really factors in, but it's the morale of your acquisition team. Like, I manage 3 different sales teams, and the biggest roadblock that we run into performance has nothing to do with leads changing or the market changing or anything like that. It's their own morale. And so when they get a string of bad properties consistently week after week, their morale changes. And every time they get a lead, they kind of dread it, and it changes how they show up to work. And so when we can only be throwing fat pitches their way, it's just a totally different dynamic, and it creates this kind of positive spiral for them. So there's just, so many downstream positive benefits. And just to get roughly the technical, and I'm not the technical guy to get technical per se, but when we first started, our landlocked scrubbing was at about 75%. Flood zones, wetlands has always been really high, the 99% range, because that data is like really black and white. As you guys can imagine, road frontage stuff is really variable with satellites. But we've gone from 75% to over 90% accuracy just from doing like some of the big, like I guess you call it like meta analysis that Kyle and Ron have been working on. But moving to owning that data is going to improve it even further. That was one of the big thrusts for us to move to actually owning all that, those ownership records. And then it allows us to open up a whole new can of worms of scrub features that currently don't exist that are so stinking cool, like road frontage length, right? Something that we can use for subdivide, something like water features, right? Hey, does this run up next to a lake or an ocean or some big body of water, something along those lines, which is just super, super powerful. So let's just touch on dates for the release of the data product. And then I also want to touch on some of the dates for the other stuff that we're working on as well.
Yeah. So we're launching the data, sort of software in November. And that's kind of what we're targeting for. Like we're going to hit there probably mid-November.
Yep. And we've built an even bigger engineering team to get this done. We even have kind of our own rough mock-up right now that we get to use. So it already exists. It's just not in a form that would even be considered beta or a form that would be definitely considered like release ready. But it's incredible the progress that's being made week after week. It's really, really cool. So it's coming out mid-November. We'll probably have some more announcements as we get closer to the Lee event. Maybe we'll do something cool for the event just for attendees. Who knows? We're workshopping some cool ideas. Anything that you guys want to touch on the data platform, or do you guys want to move on to some of the other features that we're working on?
Yeah, I mean, one of the things we're trying to do is just anytime there's a map, we're trying to, like any kind of tool you use right now. So it could be Land ID, it could be Data Tree, Land Vision, whatever it is. We're trying to push all of those features into our platform. We have a very long roadmap for just a data platform, after we release. There's so many things I want to talk about there, but they won't let me. Man's keeping me down, man. Man, there's so many things, but for the most part, yeah, I mean, we're targeting being able to pull data, being able to do full due diligence on a property. So that's looking at wetlands, flood zone, looking at comps that have sold nearby. One of the layers that we're going to have that no one else has is we're going to be able to show Redfin and also Zillow comps across the whole county. So you can pretty much scroll around the map and kind of look about, around and say, oh yeah, like this area is trading around $5K an acre, or, or you can kind of see what topology does. You'll be able to click on those comps and it'll pop it open to either Zillow or Redfin or wherever that comp might come from. And you'll be able to see like days on market, all within our data platform. And you can also look at what houses are going for as well, which will be really powerful. So if you're doing a lot of infill lot stuff, you can pretty much comp your way to a good deal. So there's a lot of layers that I could talk about, but I think I want to save some stuff for surprises.
Those surprises. You gotta have some Easter eggs in there. Two things that I want to just hit on that, which I just lost my train of thought. That's hilarious. Oh yeah, the first thing is if you're inside of Leah, or if you've been inside of Leah for any amount of time, you've probably seen that we had a Google My Map strategy that actually Rylan was kind of the originator on. Works really well, as Rylan can probably attest to. It's a boatload of work, right? To go and aggregate your data and overlay it with the MLS comps takes a ton of time. And so essentially this allows us to do that within the data platform. So you can kind of overlay, hey, I'm looking at the subdivision and it's got whatever 100 properties that I go market to, and I've got 15 comps overlaid on top of it. Just compare and contrast right within the data platform. Even before you pull data, you can go and visualize all that, which is huge. And that kind of leads to the next point. It's like, in a lot of these data platforms out there, the biggest thing that they don't provide is a clean UI for land investors, which seems stupid, but it is stupid because they already own a lot of this data. This data already exists. They just have never built it in a way that's intuitive for a land investor to use. So like a lot of the Easter eggs, if you will, are features that could already exist in these other data tools, but they've never framed them correctly from the lens of a land investor. And so just some really interesting, just as an example, some really interesting searches for finding highly motivated land sellers that you could do in data tree, but it's just so cumbersome and so hard to find. The nomenclature doesn't make sense and it's hidden. So I think a lot of folks are going to unlock better ROAS, ultimately just better metrics for their marketing by having a tool that's built out in a way that makes sense to a land investor, which is so stupid, simple, obvious, but no one's done it. And again, that data already exists out there. That MLS data already exists out there. Why has no one overlaid it? Well, I think there's a lot of room for improvement there. All right, cool, guys. Anything else to hit on the data platform, or should we move on to the comping tool?
Yeah, let me add on to that. Like the reasoning why I came up with that Google My Maps method is just because I'm very OCD, and that leads to my efficiency. And it's like if you're looking to comp a deal, you have to go across like 4 different windows and 4 different platforms to come up with an accurate valuation of something. Let's say you've got data tree pulled up, you're about to extract your data, and then you've got Redfin on another tab. You've got maybe Land ID pulled up on a different one. There's way too much back and forth required to comp one property or come up with a valuation of what an acreage is worth in a certain county or a certain region. Our goal is to just put that all in one platform.
Yeah.
Just to maintain efficiency. And once it's going to be extremely efficient.
Sorry, you cut out for a second, but no, I do agree. Especially once you start to kind of multiply that over having a team. If you can save each team member 2 to 3 hours a day just by having everything native in one place, that starts to compound in a really big way, which leads over to the second point. So this is the next release. Kyle, I know you applied a date to this when we were talking at some point earlier this week. Do you want to just share that? Just so I don't get it wrong.
Yeah, so what Sumner's talking about is we're talking about a comping tool, and it's going to be released in January of next year. To kind of give some numbers, so I have a team member that just does comping. It's all she does. And she comps between 30 to 60 properties a day, and she gets it done in about 2 to 3 hours. So just do the math there. And she's generating pretty accurate offer ranges. And, she could come up with an actual price, kind of a blind offer price, but for what we're doing, ranges work perfect. And yeah, she's able to pull all the data. It's all aggregated into one place. She can evaluate all sorts of things about the property. So yeah, land ID, Redfin, Zillow, all laid on top of each other, plus a bunch of other stuff that helps you calculate what you would want to offer. And yeah, I mean, there's so many, and also it allow you to allow you to do due diligence at a really deep level. So there's nothing like this out there. I've been using it for over a year. It's kind of been my secret weapon. And then maybe like, I don't know, Ryland Sumner, maybe 3 or 4 months ago, I got you onto the sort of the beta software, and you've been using it.
Yeah, something like that. Maybe closer to 4 to 5 months, maybe 6 months at the most. And honestly, it's been a huge inflection point for our business. Like, I think we can all speak to the fact that Land Insights was a big shift in our business. This was, I would say, is right up there for our team, both in terms of the accuracy, but also just the time that's been saved. This is what I kind of teased at the very beginning. If I like try to sit down and lock myself in a room and really think long and hard about what would I pay for something like this, it would be thousands of dollars a month. And I've tried a lot of these like pricing tools out there, and none of them do what this does. This takes the kind of rough formula that we've dubbed inside of Leah, which is proximity, features, recency, as best you possibly can. There's some stuff as it relates to features that's really hard to pull from just like data from comps. You'd have to kind of go through and read the descriptions and look at images. And so there's a bit of still human oversight that I think is needed here. But the way it aggregates these offer ranges and its expectations of what it can sell for, and then it shows its work. So it's one thing to say, I think this property is worth 50,000. You should offer 25,000, but it actually goes and shows how we got there. It does a ton of really cool stuff with value add. So if you're thinking about exemption-based subdivides or any kind of subdivide, it's bananas. And that feature alone, oh my God, I would pay thousands of dollars a month for that feature as well. It's so insane. And it literally underwrites those deals for us immediately. Now, the cool part is this is a tool that we're adding in 100% for free for Land Insights users. There's no additional cost, no additional monthly subscription. You can pull 10 of these a month. You could pull 100 of these a month if you wanted to. It's fucking insane. It's insane. I don't care if you're a solo operator or if you've got a big ass team, the time savings is ridiculous. 2 areas that we've been using it a lot. One, we've been using it for our texting. So that's an obvious one, right? Our team can generate offer ranges like that. And then obviously in the acquisition process, it's so good. It's such a good tool. You guys have anything to add to that?
We weren't going to release this to the public. We were going to keep it to ourselves. And we went back and forth for a long time. Yeah, we improved the algorithm. Like in the beginning, we were like, this is mind blowing. And then we all kind of gave a little bit of input to Kyle and made the algorithm even better. And now it's just ridiculously accurate. It's something we didn't want to release, but we're giving it away.
But it's so funny. On that note, and I feel like there's been confliction right along the way because there are some features that feel like OP, like they are too overpowered, and this is one that we initially thought might be that. I still think it requires human oversight, and there's still nuance involved, as there always will be for any comping tool. So I do feel comfortable releasing it, but it was definitely an internal confliction for sure because it's borderline OP. Honestly, it's so good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Kyle, anything to add to it?
Yeah, no, they had to kind of twist my arm to release it because it's so good. But I'm happy we're releasing. I think it's going to help a lot of people.
Yeah, I'm super excited for that. That's coming out in January. It's going to play in really well too with the data platform. I mean, this is slowly will become not only your market selection portal, not only your data aggregation portal, but also your due diligence and comping portal as well, all under one umbrella. And so if we can keep that consolidated in one place where your team doesn't have to bounce around all day long or have 12 different subscriptions, that's a win for us. And that's really what we're trying to target here. Okay, cool. Let's talk about the road frontage scrub. Kyle, what is that? Why is it important? When's it coming?
Yeah, you kind of mentioned value add. So people that are doing subdividing off of, kind of main roads or just, you subdivide off of roads that exist already. This is going to be killer. We're going to have the road frontage in a couple different ways. So one way is just percentage of the perimeter that has road frontage. That's one way. I think honestly a better way would actually have to be number of feet. I think that's just a little bit more dialed into if you know the area, if you know that county really well, like I ran into a deal like I think it was like last month maybe, and it was a deal where you had to have at least 50 feet to be a buildable lot. I didn't know about that. I thought it was a slam dunk deal until I talked to a realtor and said, no, you can't. No, that flagship won't, or the flag lot won't work, even though it was awesome. Besides that, had a pond on it and some other great stuff. I would have scrubbed that out, right? Had I known that. No more, I need at least 50 feet, for instance. Now, if you're doing or subdividing, yeah, like you want maybe 1,000 feet, 500 feet, something like that. And something that we want to release after that is contiguous feet. So it's not just like a bunch of little pieces. I'm sure people have seen lots where it's kind of like there's one section, then it kind of goes around another parcel, then it touches again. That's not a really good subdivide. So you might not want percentage. You might not want just total feet. You want kind of a contiguous touching the road. I want contiguous 500 feet. That is a slam dunk subdivide deal. So yeah, we could do a lot of other things. We could do like a corner lot, right? You have road on one, like you have two different roads touching. So there's a lot of customization that we can build in. It's just a natural extension of knowing if a property is landlocked. So yeah, I'm very excited about that. And I know everyone that's doing subdividing stuff is going to really benefit from that too.
Yep. And that was impossible for us to do without owning the data. Again, that was the initial thrust for us to go through the brain damage of trying to own all the records in the US. There's a story about, I'm going to get this so wrong. There's a story about Ford. I think it was back in like the early 20th century. Those little logs that are like the fire starter logs that you put them in and they just they just go forever. You know what I'm talking about? What are those called? Enduraflame or something like that? That's something along those lines. Well, that was just a byproduct of some kind of waste product that they had from building cars. And they're like, what can we do with this waste product? And so it's just interesting that this, like the original intention was to build more comprehensive scrubs, like what Kyle's talking about. And I think if you look at whether it's scrubbing landlocked or road frontage scrubbing or anything along those lines, like it shows you how much waste there is in this business. And even despite that, you can still be wildly effective. Even if you're not doing any of these things, the fact that you can still make money is insane. And when I first started trying to go after subdivide deals, I was spending about $25,000 to $30,000 in marketing to get a contract. And that's because when I would go and market to areas, I was marketing based off of just the size of the property. So I'd go look at the exemptions of a county and I'd go and say, okay, cool. It's a 10-acre exemption. I'll go for anything above 20 acres. Problem is, out of like maybe the 10,000 records I was mailing at a given time, but maybe there was 200 properties that were a good fit for subdividing based off of road frontage, based off of the topography, based off of wetlands, flood zones. And so I was spending that much money to really hit maybe a couple thousand properties that were actually target properties for us. And it's the same thing for general flips if you're not scrubbing your data for landlocked and what have you. So I just think it's a really cool kind of level up for the land business. And the fact that the vast majority of people still won't be doing this, there's a huge window where there's such a competitive advantage to be whittling this stuff down. And hell, maybe 5 years from now, this is just common practice, but we've got a huge window to capitalize on it. Because honestly, like if you're in this little Land Insights Leah bubble, it might feel like everyone's using this tool. Hardly anyone's using this tool relative to the size of the land business. And so this is a huge competitive advantage for the folks that are using it. Which I know even just us three are going to capitalize in a pretty damn big way. It'll probably change our business. And would you guys say that Land Insights itself has changed your guys' business on a personal level?
Absolutely. That's why we made it, to help
ourselves. Yeah, it was initially to scratch our own itch. What would you say the biggest change has been for you guys individually? I'm just curious.
I think it's just efficiency, and efficiency scales. So, I mean, our scale looks absolutely nothing like it did a year and a half ago. Like the business wasn't doing great. It was still good. We still made money, but like we just
give me like a multiplier on that. What was the before and after? Just as a multiple.
Dude, it's a 10x.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. Kyle, what about you, man?
Yeah, for me, it's kind of two things. It's being able to scale more quickly because instead of, it's kind of hard to train someone to do all the things that Land Insights does manually, but now we can kind of record a loom and say, here's the SOP, right? Here's your SOP, just follow this. And I mean, personally in my business, I don't really select markets. I just have some certain filters and she go down the list. It's a lot of things around saying just efficiency in processes and systems. I'm a big systems guy. So it was very easy to bring people on and train them. And I forgot my other point, but more or less, yeah, it's basically that. for me, it's just being able to hire team members and kind of push things off of my plate to think about scale. And, you know, of course, time savings. You know, trying to pick markets with the W-2 is hard, and also get the mail out every week. So that definitely scratched an itch there.
Yeah.
And one thing I'm excited about, this is like the next step for our business, is there's no real way to scale up subdivide marketing. And if we have a tool that's calculating the road frontage, then it's like, okay, I'm going to go do subdivide specific marketing campaigns. I'm going to make a letter that's specific to subdivides, because I know every property that I'm mailing has a subdivide opportunity. And it's like everybody that's trying to do a subdivide, they usually get those deals through their normal marketing. They maybe marketed 40 to 1,000 acres, and a lot of them weren't subdivide candidates. And a few came through their CRM like, oh, I could do a subdivide on this. But it'd be great to have a mailer that's specific to what you're going to do with that property. So that's like the next step of scaling for us. I mean, when you're flipping land, you kind of max out around probably $3 to $4 million a year that you can do just flipping land. Then it's just this crazy operation. The next step of scaling is like, how do you get to that 10 million mark? You have to do subdivides. You have to do consistent minor subdivides with big acreage. So if we can figure out how to do subdivide specific mailers, that's the next step for us. And that's what I'm most excited about.
Yeah. I would say anytime, like as a general principle for business, anytime you see like a niche or like a part of a niche where people are making money and they can't explain how. For example, if you ask most land investors, how do you get subdivides? They just say, I market a lot and occasionally I get them, right? Like there's no rhyme or reason, yet they still are profitable doing that. There's an opportunity to improve in a big way and absolutely kill it. I think, again, that's kind of like the window that's in front of us. Ask any land investor, it's just like, I market for big properties and sometimes I get deals that I can subdivide. That's all about a change. And I think Rylan is right. I don't know anyone that's doing just flips that's past $3 to $4 million a year. I would almost say it's borderline impossible, honestly. It's such an insane operation. Like if you're doing 150 to 250 flips a year, I just don't know if you can go beyond that. It's absolutely bonkers. In terms of the changes for me, I mean, I hate to echo just the same things that you guys said, but you know, much of the same. It's allowed us to find markets that my bias would never have allowed me to find, right? Counties or states or zip codes that I would never have thought to go after unless I was able to visualize the entire US. I think that's one of the like cool things about Land Insights is it removes your bias, because you almost always have to have like a region or a state bias unless you're looking at all the data in this business. The number one question land investors say is like, okay, Sumner, I know how to pick a county based off sell-through rates and whatnot, but how do I pick a state or how do I pick a region? And there's not always a rhyme or a reason there other than like, where did you travel to, or what do you like, or what have you heard in the news that's a growing area? So this changes that. We've worked in a lot of places that I probably never would have thought to work in. It's obviously had a huge impact in the speed that we can get mailers done, especially like on the pricing side of things, or just for data in general, no matter what marketing platform you're using. Obviously a force multiplier for how many markets that we can pull in a given window. It's also oddly allowed me to give away a lot of the control that I had to have in terms of our marketing process, because now it really is as simple as like, click these buttons, use this search criteria. And so I've been able to offload all of it. I have no oversight. And that for a long time, I was heavily involved in that. In fact, that was like one of the last places I was able to delegate, was building out the picking of markets, building out mailers or whatever it may be. And that's completely changed for us. So yeah, much of the same of what everyone said. We got a question for you, Kyle, and I love the name Bill buys metal 76. It's a great name. Bill, what kind of metal are you buying? DBL says, how many mailers a month is Kyle doing? I know Rylan's is bonkers. Kyle, let you take it.
Yeah, 10K a month. And I also do texting.
How many texts a month are you doing?
120,000.
That's a boatload. Okay. How many deals, how many contracts are you acquiring on a given month?
I want to say about 8.
That's actually insane. It's insane because you're, what, a year and a half in, right?
Yeah, about there, yeah.
But it's not even a fair calculation, because you joined, you had multiple other businesses, you had a W-2, and I really feel like things ramped up when we all partnered on Land Insights. I think you were doing like a deal a month, maybe.
Yeah, honestly, probably a lot less because I started mailing and I stopped mailing. I started mailing mainly because my W-2 was, I had a pretty high position and I had a lot of pressure on me to deliver on
Yeah.
a project. So I kind of had to ebb and flow. But yeah, since going full time, it's definitely changed the game. But yeah, I mean, just being consistent is key, and I think you can do it with a W-2 for sure. It's just mail is a good place. Is a good place with a W-2, and then when you can kind of build a team and manage them throughout the day, it starts making sense to do texting and whatnot. But yeah, I mean, they both have their pros and cons.
Oh, for sure. Oh, for sure. Kay says, how much does texting cost? Before I let Kyle answer what he's paying on the texting side, I need to say it, probably beating a dead horse, but do not start texting if you don't have a team. I think it's foolhardy. What does a team look like? Probably a generalist VA or someone helping on the data side. I would definitely need an acquisition manager and then obviously a texting manager. The quality of leads that you get is just way different. I think there's more nurturing that needs to happen there, more qualifying that needs to happen there. You get way more leads. So the quantity is really high. You got to sift through a boatload of leads. I just think it's like you obviously need the leverage of a team, but you also need like the skill of a decent team. There's a lot of people out there that can't make texting work because they have a garbage acquisition process and a texting person sucks. Mail is a little harder to screw up, even though it's like more expensive. If you look like cost per lead and things like that. But I think the skill gap is way more variable for texting. But how much are you spending to do 120,000 texts a month?
I have to go look. I mean, like my total
team data, all of it.
Oh yeah, around 11 grand a month.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe.
It's not free. It's not cheap either.
Yeah, it's not cheap. Yeah, I mean, with that, it'd be a lot. With mail as well, you know, you're going to be taking into account the call center, et cetera. So yeah, I didn't really count mail in that calculation, but for team and texting, it's about there. So
yeah, and I think most people, they go look at whatever launch control or simple texting, and they're like, oh, it's whatever, $1,500 a month for that plan. That's so cheap. But there's like so many hidden costs involved there, from how much data you need to pull to the scrubbing to needing people to help with the scrub. And like, there's just a lot. So yeah, Cami says, what is your average acquisition price for your deals, Kyle?
Gotta go look.
Give me a ballpark.
Yeah, I wish acquisition price of your deals. Honestly, I don't know. I mean, I need to go look at my KPI sheet. I couldn't even tell you. I mean, yeah, I couldn't even tell you.
I'll put it like this. Just like everyone inside of Leah, you're in that mid-market sweet spot. So not $1 million deals, not $2,000.
Okay.
Like middle of the road.
Okay, yeah. I thought the question was what does it cost per lead? So I misinterpreted.
Oh, no. Just your average price point.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it can be pretty much it's mid ticket. We'll go anywhere from 30 to several $100,000. You know, it's basically around there. I won't do like a 5 for 5, sell for 10. We just kind of filter those out immediately.
Sweet. Yeah. Okay. And guys, too, we're going to do a little Q&A at the end. So throw in any questions, give me land related, land insights related, whatever you got, throw them in there. I got to tell you guys, I made a big mistake. It's because I have a hard time reading. I didn't read that we're doing a giveaway here. So we're going to do a giveaway in the middle of this call, guys. I want you guys to answer in the chat. And whoever gets closest to the right number, we're going to give away 3,000 free scrub records on Land Insights. Is that right? Or just
3,000 credits?
Credits, sorry.
Yeah, 3,000 credits, yeah.
3,000 free credits on Land Insights for whoever gets this right, okay? How many realtors are there in the U.S.? Not just land realtors, just realtors in general. How many realtors are in the U.S.? Whoever gets close to it.
Land realtors.
Oh, you son of a gun. All right. Just take what I said and flip-flop it. Not how many realtors, but how many land realtors. I really am having a hard time reading. How many land realtors are there in the U.S.? Throw it in the chat, y'all. Whoever gets closest, 3,000 free credits on Land Insights. Okay, and that leads us to the next point, which is the last thing on kind of our organized agenda, and then we're just going to riff and have some fun, talk about land, life, Q&A, all that jazz. Kyle, you hit me with a pretty big nugget the other day about a bonus that we're working on that's actually coming out in September. That's a really, really cool Easter egg, and that is our drone editing inside of Land Insights. Do you want to touch on that?
Yeah. So, I mean, it's just kind of just another one of those scratch my own itch things. Much like the Chrome extension, sometimes you order drone photos, and so I've gotten photos from drone pilots that look like they annotated them and drew pictures on them with like, Microsoft Word. It was just like the worst stuff, and they never gave me the raw images too. So I couldn't go back and fix it. So that was frustrating. So we kind of took over that process. Uh, in my business, and I really didn't want to pay for Photoshop. I didn't really want to pay. Canva couldn't really do what I wanted. I couldn't really find a tool that would make this super easy. And again, back to system and processes, I like to hand off things off and delegate. So how do I make it to where my generalist VA can just go annotate draw the boundaries around the parcel, can make the colors pop too, almost like on the iPhone, right? You take a picture on the iPhone, it gives you those effects that you can apply. You can adjust the brightness, the hue, whatever you want. So this is something that we will be releasing in September. So coming up here, and it'll just be right inside Land Insights, and you'll be able to upload a photo. You can easily draw all the boundaries. You can make it whatever color you want, that parcel boundary, and then you can also make the colors pop, which is really important. So, show all the pretty trees and all that stuff. So just kind of a scratch your itch thing. And yeah.
So cool. So cool. And that's coming out in September. I'm just curious. Well, actually, before I ask you guys, if you guys don't have a process to create beautiful photos in your listing, you are losing out on shorter days on market, maybe even higher prices in some cases. Then it's a night and day difference. Like the first order of business is you have to have drone photos to sell land. I think that's just a freaking requirement. It's like I've split test the difference. It's almost impossible unless you're just way under market to sell something that's got like iPhone photos, boots on the ground. So drone photos is a prerequisite, but you can't stop there. You need drone photos that actually show the property, make people understand, oh, this is what I'm looking at, and then portray the property in a really beautiful manner. Like retail buyers are so fickle, they're so emotional. You've got to compel them right off the bat to click, then to view the listing, then to reach out, then to schedule a showing. And photos honestly are like half that battle. What are you guys doing today for building beautiful photos?
Pretty much Photoshop and doing them myself. There's a tool called Lightroom, Adobe Lightroom. That is a really good one. A lot of photographers use that. There's a lot of good presets and filters you can do, but it's advanced. It's expensive. I just don't want to use it. So that's what I use right now.
We're using Canva, but when you put the photo in Canva, it puts it like on a white background. So then the quality of the photo goes down. It's horrible. But it gets the job done, but the picture quality gets worse because you're like zooming in and out, and when you crop the photo, you lose your lines, and then you have to move all the lines again.
Yeah, it's annoying. Yeah. We used to use something called Be Funky. It's a weird name, but it's a free tool. It's like a web-based editing app. And then my team uses Photoshop now. And I think that we're not the best, but I think we're in the highest percentile for good drone photos, honestly, and good designs on them. The photos tell a story. They're very visual. They also sometimes have text overlays, so you really understand what you're looking at a quick. Just like I want the picture to tell the full story, and so someone could look at a photo and say, okay, that's the road frontage, that's the name of the road. Oh, there's a well on the property. Oh, there's a lake in the back, and like the photo will tell that full story. So super, super cool. Coming out in September, we'll move our full team over from what we're doing from Photoshop to this. And kind of what is this? Is this just a bonus add-on? Is there's a pricing to this? How does this work?
It's free.
Free 99. I love things that are free. Yeah, so this is a free just kind of addition that we're adding. And really, ultimately, that's our goal. Like when we look at Land Insights, yeah, there are internal features that cost us money. Like scrubbing right now does cost a substantial amount. Obviously, skip tracing, data, like there are some things that have to have a price tag associated. Otherwise, we'd be out of business pretty quickly. It's just at the quantity that people use them. But anytime we can, we really want to build this out like the Costco model, right? For holding your membership, there's just like a litany of additional benefits. And our goal is always free. That's kind of our main objective. There are some things that just can't be because they do cost a substantial amount, either to build or to just support on an ongoing basis. But yeah, both the comping tool and the drone photo editing will be free. And that always warms my heart, making things free. Like really, if you guys wanted to zoom out and understand our business model, probably don't care. But if you wanted to, like, our ethos is to not nickel and dime people and squeeze them for everything what they've got. Really, our play is like just use the tool forever, and everyone wins. If we can make it so valuable and so good and so many free features that you stick around forever, we both win. And that's ultimately the objective. If you just want like clear, honest communication, that's what we're targeting. And I think that's a win-win for everyone. Ryan, you probably know the number that for the land realtors, which I don't know. So who's the winner in this group? And if you guys have any more inputs, toss it on in. You guys will have another minute to get it right. But Ryan, who's the closest so far? Is anyone popping out, or is everyone way off?
Newport land, pretty much in the middle of their range, 195,000.
195,000 Newport. Well done, man.
That's realtors that sold land in the last 2 years, at least one piece.
Okay.
Yes.
Jeremy hit me with a monster number, 1.6 million. That's a lot of land. If that was the case, it'd be a lot easier to find a good land realtor. Because I tell you what, it's freaking hard. Then DBL hit me with the oddly specific 9,765. I don't know where that specificity came from. Cool, man. Well, yes, make sure Newport gets his free credits. How do you guys want to go about that? You want to just have Ari reach out to him?
Yeah.
Cool. All right, guys, let's open up Q&A. Let's just kind of shoot the breeze and have some fun. Feel free to put anything in the chat, guys. Questions that you got could be off topic, on topic. It doesn't really matter. We'll be here to hang out a little bit longer. And while I do, I guess just while we wait for questions to come in, why don't you guys just give a little update on your land business? Just 30,000 foot view over, I guess, the last couple of months. Let's talk about the last summer. And while I do, I'm going to fill up my water. I'll be right back. Ryan, why don't you start it off?
Yeah. So I was living in Florida at the beginning of the year, and I went abroad to Europe and just started for about 4 months. And I thought my business was like ready to go. Like I didn't have to be there, but there was a couple hires I was missing that was keeping me away from just not really having to worry about the business. One of those being a comper. So literally like within 2 weeks of going abroad, I hired a comper because I was spending like 3 hours a day just comping properties. And it's something I didn't really want to let go of because there's a lot of power in coming up with the right price valuation when a lead comes through. So I knew it would take a lot of training. So I was training this comper for like 3-4 weeks before I was comfortable with letting her take over everything. But that was a very valuable thing in my business. That's something that really changed the scope of where I wanted to go with the business. And then another one was just another acquisition manager hire. I need somebody because my team was just maxed out with the leads we were working on the daily basis. So once I got there, I felt like I was completely outside of the business looking in, and we doubled our scale after that and just made a couple more acquisition manager hires, a couple more marketing managers. And I feel the urge to do it again. It's just a matter of finding more hires. And I feel like I'm at the point now where I need some type of CEO role in the business. So that's where my mind's been at the last couple of weeks, is just like, is there somebody out there that I feel comfortable with managing the whole process? Because there's a point where you have so many employees that you're not efficient anymore and you're just holding the business back. And I feel like I'm the worst employee in my personal business. So I think paying somebody in the US to take over my role is going to be good for scaling both my land business and Land Insights, because most of my time is being spent in Land Insights at this point, and I want to keep going that way. So yeah, that's where my mind's been at. Just looking for somebody to take over my role, the CEO of my business.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, for me, not quite where Rylan is when I'm traveling Europe, but I tried to comp for like 2 days and I was like, this isn't working. So I hired someone like a week later as well. So comper has been really big. Let's see. Yeah, lately, actually this week, I hired a transaction coordinator. So that was one of the things that was just kind of bogging me down personally, because I really wanted to focus more on the acquisitions, the marketing stuff, and not kind of finding title companies and all that sort of stuff. So um, I interviewed off of Upwork for like 2 weeks, and then I ended up connecting with someone at a, I guess, yeah, basically like a professional TC company, and they do actually house wholesaling. They had no experience in land, but there was someone that had been a TC for about a year and a half, so she knew kind of what the deal was. She did a lot of crazy house wholesaling stuff like novations and I think it's called the Morby method and all that kind of stuff. And so she really knew what she was doing, and that's way more complicated than land. So when I started talking to her, she's like, "Oh yeah, like that. This is land's gonna be easy." Now there is some learning for her, but it's been great because the way I structured the kind of compensation was, even though she's kind of an outside person, I'm paying a little bit extra than what they would normally charge for a flat fee to do a transaction. So what I've set up is she's actually almost like an honorary employee in my business. So she has like a branded email account. She's in our Slack. She's pretty much an employee that just happens to work under a different LLC, and she gets paid at closing, which is great. So, and she's super hard worker. And I was really wanting someone that was on American soil because and had some experience in TC stuff, mainly because we talk to realtors, we talk to title companies, that can kind of go the extra mile. And she's just a super hard worker, which I could tell over the phone. So we brought her on this. She pretty much started. I want to say Monday. It's been a long week, but and then she already got a deal in the title and all of that stuff. So yeah, so things are going really well with her. So I'm hoping that I can just hand off all the TC stuff within the next, basically by October. When I go to Italy, I want to not have to think about my land business for at least 2 weeks. Is the goal. So I'm trying to plug all the holes there.
Yeah. It's funny. We're all going to be in Europe like almost the same time. I'm going in September. Actually, I know Rylan will be there at the same time, so our paths will cross. But Kyle, we're just going to miss you. I'm going to be in Italy like 2 weeks before you or something like that. So we're going to see each other. But yeah, where I'm at. I mean, I guess I'll even go further than just like the last couple months. I would say that 2023 was a really tough year for me because I was juggling so many balls, and I had to make concessions. Like, I feel like anytime you start a new business, it's kind of like a little ember that you've got to protect so it can kind of turn into its own self-generating fire. And so the land business was way more established than anything else that I was working on, and so my involvement downticked by a substantial amount. I mean, there are some weeks where I literally spent an hour a week on it. I would say it would probably average out to maybe 5 to 10 hours max. And so it wasn't like a big growth year for us, and I had to kind of come to terms with that. But it definitely like messed with my psychology a little bit, and I had to, because it took me a little bit to shake it off, honestly, coming into this year. And I feel like we hit a huge inflection point in about April of this year, and a lot of it, I think, was just coming back to the team and still. I mean, we got A players, we've got great people that've been with us for a long time, and I would never even be able to take that much of a step back unless we did have A players. But coming back and just instilling a level of vigor and excitement to everyone, our business has just kind of blown up on the acquisition side since then. And it's been super exciting. We're just doing a lot of deals, but also just really interesting deals. Some pretty cool portfolios of bigger properties, like hundreds of acres that we're buying at a time. We just got a contract 2 days ago for this huge hunting property up in Michigan, which you guys know about hunting property. It's pretty bananas. And just really cool terms that we're setting up on these things. I mean, we've probably landed 6 deals with 6-figure plus spreads in like the last 45 days. So the team is just rocking and rolling. Now there's still always problems. We lost one of our longest term best team members that we've ever had. He put in his 2-week notice. We got him to stick around, but he was our marketing manager. I mean, he juggled a lot of balls, but he was our marketing manager. Literally, you could not ask for a better team member. I mean, this guy you would have to go pick through 1 million overseas employees to find a guy like this. I swear, you might not even be able to find another person like him. The level of integrity and just the ownership that he brings to the table, he's super smart. He's really organized. He is the kind of guy you want to manage your marketing. He put in his 2 weeks notice, which was heartbreaking. So we're replacing that role. We're hiring a new TC person, and we've definitely hit the limits of what we can do on the lead flow side. So we're doing about 250 to 300 leads a month in the CRM, which is just maxed out what we can do on the acquisition side. So hiring another acquisition manager and then looking to get that to like 500 to 600 before the end of the year. And we've been tinkering with a new marketing channel, which has been going okay. And we're going to talk about that more in the coming weeks, but we finally kind of crested the hump and cracked the code on it and are about to take it from doing like 20 leads a month to probably over 150 leads a month. Without spending any more on it, just about getting better at it. It's a marketing channel that I don't really see anyone talking about or using. So we'll talk more about that in the coming weeks. But yeah, everything feels good. I mean, it's definitely tough. All your businesses feel like your children, and it feels tough to like have to pick and choose at certain times. But I'm still very much involved in the day-to-day of all these things. And so I had to pick and choose temporarily. And that definitely was a tough thing psychologically, but I think we've kind of come around the corner on that. The problem is my greatest joy and fulfillment is not being the operator. It's not being the guy that takes it from whatever, 2 million to 10 million. Like that is not my greatest joy. I know some people that absolutely love that. My greatest joy is starting at nothing and growing it to something. And so I still have this burning fire in me to continue and recreating what we've done and building more businesses, both inland and outside of land. And what I've recognized to do that, much like what Ryland said, is I need to hire CEOs, but I think the only way I could do it early out of the gate would be giving equity. And so getting more comfortable, like giving people a real vested interest and a bigger stake of the pie out of the gate, or even if it's later stage, I think that's the only way I can keep on doing what I'm doing. You know, what I'd love to do is like, not even for the money, honestly, just for the fun of it. So I draw a lot of creative joy from starting things. And to me, it's a creative outlet. I would love to become like my own private equity firm, but I never buy a business. I just create all these random little businesses and then try to find amazing people that want to work on them together, and just doing that over and over and over and over and over and over again. And fast forward 10 years from now, I own 50 different businesses all over in different weird industries because I'm constantly spotting opportunity and I'm constantly tinkering with like, oh, this is totally how I would do it. But there's just not enough of me to go around. So yeah, probably more of an answer than anyone bargained for, but that's the honest truth.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, I also see business as an art form. You know, you're kind of sculpting, and once you kind of got the form, you don't, at least, you know, like Sumner, like I don't necessarily like filling in all the detail. I like to just get the shape and the facade, and like, all right, like now someone who's way better than me can go add all the detail, because that's just not me. But I love that creative angle, and you know, we talk about that on the Ryland and I all the time about with Land Insights, like what's the next thing? How do we keep pushing the envelope? We're all kind of that creative type, if you will.
Yeah.
A very imaginative call. It's a little psychotic, maybe.
Yeah, we're perhaps all too similar, but we've got great people on the team that kind of tip the scales and balance it out. But I think that's something that we've all really resonated on too, is just like, you know, there's people that love business for like the means to the end, and that's just not me. I mean, it's an additional benefit and it's nice to have freedom and make money and all that stuff, but to me, it's like, it's lower on the list. It's the creative outlet for me. And yeah, I just fucking love it. And I can't stop creating. And I think we all resonate on that. And you guys might not know, but this is Land Insights, and the land business is not Kyle's only business. He's got a string of businesses behind it and many, many other attempts at different things. So we all kind of share that in common to some extent. And if you guys don't know, the way that Ryland got into the land business was by flipping surfboards on Craigslist to afford his mailing. So, you know, it's in your DNA. You got it.
One of the scrappiest things you could do.
Yeah, it's funny. We talked.
I had a double negotiation technique where I would negotiate on Craigslist, and then I would go see the board in person and negotiate again.
Oh, I love it. That's how you do it, man.
It's real jacked up.
Yeah,
but you gotta do what you gotta do.
You do, man. Well, it's funny. Like if we obviously talked to so many people that apply to join Leah, and they're either brand new or they're just getting started. And I can tell so much about where someone's going to end up just purely by their scrappiness. Like there are literally some people that are like, yeah, man, I got to wait 10 more months to make an extra, whatever, 10 grand to save up. I'm like, dude, like, it doesn't matter what you're making at your job. Anyone can go make 10 grand in the next 120 days. I guarantee you just have to be so hungry and have a fire in you and maybe a bit of a chip on your shoulder. And people put all these like self-limiting beliefs on like what is possible. I'm like, yeah, you just don't want it bad enough. Because I've seen enough alternatives where truly anything is freaking possible. I was diving in dumpsters my first year in college to find old textbooks to resell. You just don't want it bad enough. That's the truth for most people. All right, there's a lot of questions to go through here. How big is your team, Rylan?
There's 10 of us.
Okay. Aaron says, how many leads does it require for one deal in cold texting? It's pretty variable, but I'll let you guys take it and then I'll add my 2 cents.
What was whose question was it?
How many leads does it require for one deal in cold texting?
Right now, we're sending 10,000 texts a day. We'll get usually like 1 contract from that. 1 to 2 contracts from 10,000 a day.
Yeah, I was going to say, and it really depends on your acquisition skill. It's a huge, 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 huge part of this. Like my numbers are definitely not going to be your numbers and vice versa. And acquisitions, I think, is the real differentiator here. Text leads come to you a lot less qualified. There's a lot less trust there. There's just a lot more hand-holding that needs to be done. And I think the sales cycle can be longer, but we're probably like 7,500 to 10,000 texts per deal. But I think we're pretty good at it. So it's like, I literally see people that are sending 50,000 texts a month that are getting no deals. So it's not like mail where it's like, it's really harder to screw up if you've got the formula. There's definitely a much bigger skill gap here. What about you, Kyle?
Yeah, honestly, I kind of go about a different approach. I haven't been very good at tracking KPIs. Like I actually have my texting manager track her KPIs every day, but I haven't looked at it. So what I do is actually go look at this almost the shape of the pipeline. So I have it in stages, and I go look at what's incoming, what's in hot lead, what's a warm lead, what's like need us in a contract sent, those sort of things. And I kind of just have like a certain shape that I want to see and a certain number of leads I want to see in each stage. And if things aren't trending in that direction and continue to trend that direction, then I start asking questions. Okay, what's going on here? Did I mess something up? Are we picking some bad markets? So yeah, I mean, like I said, we're trying to aim for about 2 contracts signed a week.
Solid. And you're doing you have the 120,000 plan, but are you maxing out that number?
No. So you can go up to 150. Yeah, the reason, and we're you can only do 5K a day, and we're only texting on weekdays. So I'm kind of mixed. I'm kind of curious what you guys think about weekend texting. We've had quite a few drip campaigns go out on weekends, and people are like, "Don't talk to me. It's Sunday." So I don't know if you see that or if you guys are doing weekends.
We do text on the weekends. We're not right now because our weekend texter left us, but I found it to be effective. To me, it's like it literally was costing us, I don't know, like $50 for the weekend to have someone there, and I've already got the bandwidth or like the limit on launches. So I was like, why not? So yeah, I mean, you might peeve some people, but screw them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, fair enough.
If you want to sell, you want to sell. All right. What platform is the best for finding, hiring, support for running comps? Sky, there's not one platform dedicated to it. And honestly, like I always talk about how land is so discombobulated and fractured. The VA hiring marketplaces is very much the same. So you probably won't find anyone out of the box that's good at comping either. It's pretty rare. Usually that's going to be a technical skill that you'll have to train on. So we're looking more for soft skills. Anything land related, just imagine you're probably going to have to train on it. So soft skills would be like all the other things that make an employee decent. And I'd probably do like a disc profile test or something like that to see, are they a good fit for being detail oriented? Are they going to drive themselves crazy doing this, or just kind of play to their personality? But some of the typical platforms like onlinejobs.ph is really popular. Upwork, you can actually hire people off of Fiverr that are VAs on there and just like hire them outside of it directly. Quality is definitely a little bit lower on there. Outsource your tasks, OIT, that's a popular one. That's a paid service that you have to pay per hire. support shepherd. What else is there, guys? What am I missing?
I got
I mean,
mine
I
on
just
all
use,
jobs.
yeah, me too.
But you
Me
like
too.
with that application, like film a video of how to do it, and then give them a list of things to comp. So give them like a data tree subscription, give them your login, and then have them go through a list and comp it. And I just interviewed the people that were close to my comps.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, you got to do a lot of
Yeah, give them a
the front end so that you don't waste time interviewing.
Yeah, I did something very similar. I had like a test, and I gave them leads that were some old leads that just were kind of junk. I gave them some leads that I thought were kind of hard to crack, and kind of like easy, hard, and then somewhere in the middle, and somewhere where I don't have to go recomp this stuff. It's stuff we've already comped, and just see how they do. And yeah, I interviewed like 3 people, and then I was like, okay, great. Now that you know how to do it the old way, I'm going to show you how to live in the future. And then I gave her my comping tool. And then she's just like, I think I ruined her for any other comping job. There's no way she's going to go back to Redfin and Zillow. And she's so optimized now. So, yeah, I mean, pretty much, yeah, online jobs at PH.
Yeah, this is a low level hire, honestly. So like, yeah, I wouldn't pay a recruiting service to find someone, and they're not going to find anyone that has this relevant skill. It's almost impossible. I think that's true for almost all the land hires. I'm usually looking for like adjacent skill set. So if I'm looking for like an acquisition person, it's like, have they worked in a call center? Have they done sales before? But it's rarely they've been an acquisition manager for land in the past. Arnell says, what resources help to assist with transitioning from the mindset you started your land business with versus today's mental framework? Yeah, it's actually a great question. I mean, I'm a big believer of like what got you here won't get you there type thing. And I literally was just talking to my girlfriend about this yesterday. Or 2 days ago, whatever it may be. She's coached over 1,000 people in her fitness coaching business. She does really well for herself, but she's also been stuck at the same level for a long time, right? They do multiple 5 figures a month, but it's like she's never been able to grow beyond it. And I'm like, well, it's because you're using the same exact playbook of what made you successful, which is just won't get you to where you want to go. I honestly think that like once you in land, once you get to maybe 7 figures or high 6 figures, as weird as this sounds, it's very much an introspective game. And so it's like you typically are the bottleneck. So the introspective game is like, okay, what areas am I deficient in and how can I get someone to fill the void for me? What are my limiting beliefs that are making me not push my foot to the gas even further? A lot of times, like we put the limits on ourselves. It has nothing to do with anything else. People are like, oh, launch control only has whatever, 150,000 text plan. So I can't go beyond that. But it's like someone that has no limiting beliefs is like, well, why don't I do 1 million a month? Why not 10 million texts a month? You know what I mean? So really trying to address like what are the own limitations that you're putting on yourself? I would say like my big skill set, if there was one, was I look at every part of my business through like the lens of the scientific method too. And I think that's where I do my greatest work, because I just go and break down little components of it and say, okay, this isn't really working up to snuff. So I go run some experiments, take the winner out of that. Like for example, when we run YouTube videos, we put up 3 different thumbnails. I just let the data tell me which one's the winner. And so I think a lot of folks that are successful that get to that mid couple $100,000 or $1 million mark, you're successful usually because you're really action orientated, but there's rarely a lot of deep thought happening there. And so I think that introspection game is really important. And like the areas that I invest in to make myself better at business are things that have nothing to do with business, like therapy or random coaches that have nothing to do with technical skills. And so I think it's more of a soft skill game. And the last point is like through that introspection, can you become a better leader? Because you need leverage and you need people. And if you're a shitty leader, which most people are, it's like you can have the greatest team ever. They could be really technically savvy, but they're never going to want to work with you long term. I don't know if there's anything to add to that, guys.
I think there's something to say when you break a routine. I think when you get caught in a routine, that's when you don't scale, unless you're like proactively trying to change things up. But if you go like travel or you go on a family trip, you'll see a lot of holes in your business that when you get back in that routine, you can address. So I think for me, it's like break the routine, stop doing the same things every day. I was comping properties all the way up until earlier this year. Yeah. And when I finally broke the routine, I was like, oh, I just need to go hire somebody to do it. Yeah. I don't want to do this.
Yeah. And I think just to add on to that, Kyle, and then we'll go to you, Kyle, but I think the part of the way you do get that, I mean, travel is an awesome catalyst. It shows you the cracks in your business that you need to fill, but also just gives you inspiration, I think, and a new perspective. but also going and talking to other land investors or even just business people that are farther along than you. Like, it really resets your mindset and your expectations for yourself and what's possible. And that's why I think that like being in some kind of group is important, but ideally a group that meets in person. It's the in-person component that's huge. And I've always said, like, at events, it's who you meet in between the event, like in the hallways or at random times, the person that you strike up a conversation with, and you're like, dude, this guy's some Joe Blow who's doing 10 times more than I am. I'm like, well, what's the difference there? Oh, he just thinks different. So I know there's something to be said about the community aspect. I think that really pushes us. Kyle, what would you add on to that?
As you were talking, I had a couple thoughts, and then I forgot them. I'm trying to remember here. So there's also like a fly flying around my head. So it's also like very annoying. I'm like swatting at it. It's like landing on my forehead. I don't know. It's like this whole thing. So flies annoying me. All right. I guess I'd say, yeah, I mean, for me, so I need a routine. That's otherwise I kind of just like go off the rails. So getting a routine is a big thing. Setting like time blocking was really helpful to kind of help me just have the discipline to focus on, reviewing deals or, having set time to do TC work or what have you. The other thing is like meeting with certain people that are a little bit ahead of you, like most things like weightlifting or whatever, right? They're pushing you, you want to chase them. And then also thinking about leverage of how do you buy your time back? That's a huge thing. I've always been that guy. I have a local rental business, and since like the first day I started it, I was thinking, okay, yeah, but I'm not going to be running this, right? This needs to be someone else's job. So constantly thinking about how do I replace myself? How do I get it to the point where I can do this well enough and train someone within 2 weeks and hand it off, right? And then I monitor for a month or two, and then I kind of let off the gas and I look for the next thing, but then I still check in, right? At least once a week. So yeah, I guess those things are the main things. The biggest thing's probably been this isn't going to be my job. So how do I build my business and put processes in place that allow me to step out?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's almost like building it with a mindset that one day even sooner than you might think, you might sell the thing, which no one's ever really going to sell a land business, but kind of starting with the end in mind. I never thought like that in the beginning. So there's still like a lot of things that we're unwinding or improving or documenting in our land business. But I look at other businesses that we've created and I'm like, okay, I learned a thing or two in that process and just kind of starting with the end in mind. But look, I mean, at the end of the day, it's like, I think that you've got to pay your dues and like, you're going to suck for a little bit and you're going to have the wrong mindset. And you're going to hit speed bumps. And like, you can't avoid them. That's part of the path. It's part of the learning. It's so trite and cliche, but it's very much who you become in the process, because I guarantee you could take away our land business, take away any source of income. I guarantee you that within 120 days, we could all spin something up and at least be doing decently. Has nothing to do with like just our technical land skill. I think it's very much who you become in the process and the skills that you develop. And it's applicable to all areas of business. And so you also just have to pay your dues. I think there's no fast tracking the pain that you will have to go through to where there's a skill mismatch between like where you should be at and what you can actually provide. And there's pain in between there. And it just teaches you and you grow because of it. So there's value in that. If any of you guys do cold call, how many leads per contract on cold call? Cold call absolutely sucks. I hate it. It's probably the last thing I'd ever add to a land business. It works. It sucks. It sucks. Cold call is so stinking silly. The ROAS sucks. It's like, I don't know the number of leads that it takes, but you're dialing about 15 to 20,000 people per contract. So that's what I do know. Most people aren't going to go hire a person to themselves. So they'll use like an agency, and the agencies are expensive. So you're probably paying 75 to maybe 100% more than you would for a mail contract, cold calling. And so you're talking about cutting your ROAS probably down to about 5x. So look, if you've exhausted every other channel, I'm not saying I wouldn't do it, but unless you've exhausted everything else, it's one of the last things I would think about adding. Unless you have like a very, very, very niche target properties that you go after and you've got a very skilled person on the phone that can communicate well. But most people aren't using it like that. Most people are using a VA in the Philippines who's just dialing everyone under the sun. They're not that great at it. They're just trying to find that one little piece of motivation. I wouldn't do it like that. I'd take more of a sniper approach with a highly skilled cold caller for very specific properties like subdivides or what have you. But I'm really not a fan. You guys have anything to add to it?
I used it and then I stopped using cold calling.
Yeah. What did you get any deals?
I had a guy working full time for a whole month, and I think we got 2 contracts, which weren't good deals. So
Yeah, it's not good. I don't think you have any experience with it, right?
Yeah, I've never tried it. Never tried it. Been curious, but have not tried it. So I stick to the tried and true.
Yep. Tried and true. I'm not. Yeah, we've figured out what works. So just do what just do what works. Do what we do. Any secret to getting higher value deals? I'm getting contracts for 18 to 25K, acquisition price, properties all day. Our response rates are so low for anything much higher than that. A lot of factors here. You're probably not adjusting your offer percentages to compensate for the different price points. You probably have different expectations, understanding that's going to take substantially more marketing to get those deals. So think about it not from a number of deals or number of letters per deal, but more from a ROAS standpoint. So like to go get a deal that's got 300K in spread, dude, it might take you $20,000 in marketing spend to get that deal, but it's over a 10x ROAS, so it's not too shabby. I see a lot of folks that just like, they think it's going to be the same across the board. So that's part of it. Could be misunderwriting them. It's like having a harder time. I find that some people are better at underwriting different categories or pockets. So they have a tough time underwriting certain categories for acreage ranges. And it could just be not a large enough sample size. Again, it takes a lot of mail to get those deals. So like if you're telling me that, hey, I've done 5,000 letters a month consistently for the last 12 months and I've only gotten one big deal, it's like, that's actually pretty par for the course, to be honest. Now 18 to 25K acquisition price, like I would expect that you're going to get some stuff outside of that. But once we start talking about the 6-figure range, it's just a different can of worms. What did I miss there, gents?
not much. It takes more marketing to get those bigger deals, but it's worth it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, one thought is if you go after the hottest markets, or markets that are generally have a lot of demand, you're going to have higher prices. And what I've seen is, we'll call like the average 5-acre owner is just as motivated or unmotivated as someone in a slower market, but the prices for the properties are higher. So maybe even acquisition of 40, right? And it's worth 80. So if you go after hot areas, just by supply and demand, you're going to go after hotter areas that sell for more, and then they turn over faster. So I'd recommend, also taking a look at your market selection.
Yeah. What I will say too, so Cami says, I'm finding that people who own 80K plus properties just don't have the life situations that justify selling a property at 50% off. I would say yes and no, but more yes than no. Yes, people at all price points do have life problems and have to sell at a discount. On average, though, they are more of a needle in a haystack, so it does take more marketing to get there for sure. And they are more savvy. They typically do have more options at their disposal because they, as a person, are more savvy, and they also just have something that's more valuable. So they do have more options. Like if you own a $15,000 property in Apache County, your options are limited, right? But if you own a $1 million property in whatever, Tyler County, Texas, you've just got typically more options at your disposal. You probably have a realtor in your network. Realtors have already hit you up to try to list it for you. And that's where offering at higher percents does become kind of a prerequisite. And then as a consequence of that, that's why value add becomes a bit of a prerequisite. Like I don't know anyone that's consistently flipping $1 million properties just as a flip to double their money. It just doesn't really happen. That's why you have to start stacking other strategies on top of them. But I do know people that do get those deals at 50% off. They do exist. It just takes a lot of marketing to get there, a ton. I know people that send hundreds of thousands of mailers a month, and they're pricing at bottom barrel prices for pretty much everything. They might only get 3 contracts a month, but they're monster contracts. Like some of them are 7-figure spreads that are flips. So, but they do exist. They absolutely do exist. And I would say it's actually 80K is definitely not the break in my opinion. It's much more probably 250, 300K when the dynamic starts to change. 80K, 150K, 200K, you still find a lot of motivated people even at 50% off. Low MLS offers are free. Yeah, they're not great though. I mean, there's a time and a place for low MLS offers. I think that if you're just doing low MLS offers for flips, it does exist, but you have to be buying deeper than the 50% discount that they're priced at, right? Because if you're going to go buy a property at 50% off, and they're listed at 100, and you buy it at 50, and somehow you think you're going to sell it at 100 when they couldn't sell it at 100. I mean, there's a waiting game you could play, but like typically you're just buying inventory that's going to take a while to sell. So you got to be coming in rock bottom discounts to make that happen for flips. it does work. And again, you can market it better. You could just wait longer. I just don't love that strategy. The MLS strategy that I do like is for finding value add deals and buying through owner financing or creative finance strategies. But for flips, take it or leave it. There's deals out there. I don't love it though. I would just say just market directly to owners. Again, like I always say, don't try to get cute in this business. Don't try to reinvent the wheel when you're first starting. Find a proven playbook and just execute on it in a one-to-one fashion. And then as you start to build something that's like self-sustaining, you can add other variations or twists on it and try things and run experiments. But in the beginning, don't try to experiment, in my opinion. All right, y'all. What else you guys want to talk about? Anything else you want to throw out there? Should we call it here? Parting words, final thoughts.
Good call.
Yeah.
Well, what I will say, guys, there's probably a lot of folks on here that don't use Land Insights. If you're not using Land Insights, you should. But honestly, what I'd recommend, even if you're not, go wet your beak, as I like to say. Go hop on a call, dip that beak into a nice cool jar of water by going to landinsights.co/apply. We'll do a full demo. We'll show you guys the product, cradle to grave, how we can 2x your ROAS, buy back 10 plus hours a week, nail down your pricing, scrub your data, and how you can get access just in your standard subscription to 6 cents, a la carte data records, and if you want unlimited data as well. If you're pulling data from Land Insights, you get free landlocked scrubbing and 50% off the standard scrubs as well. So it's honestly a no-brainer. Like more than likely, if you're not pulling data through Land Insights, you're probably paying more somewhere else, and you have another subscription. So roll it into one, and you get the free scrubs. It's just a no-brainer. So landinsights.co/apply. It's down in the doobly-doo in the description if you guys want to go schedule time with the team. All right, y'all, we'll call it here. Hope everyone has a great weekend. Thank you for making the time and hanging out with us. It means the world that you guys, want to hang out here and talk shop. But for the folks that do support Land Insights, it really does mean the world. This has been like a community project in a lot of ways. Like a lot of the features that we've developed have come from feedback from users. And this started in a very different fashion. We launched this last year in July. It looks nothing like it does today than when we launched then. And that's has a lot to do with you guys both supporting it so we can grow it, but also just the feedback and all the good stuff. So thank you guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you guys.
Call it here. All right.
Bye,
Bye,
guys.
everyone.
See ya.